Alright, Shalom. I want to give all praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahshai, Bashim, Nachakwadash, the belongers to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, for giving us the wisdom of the teachings of the scriptures, along with what comes with them. Peace and salutations to the hopefully elect, and Shalom to all you sincere Achim across the globe. So, yeah, man, I went on the internet, as we do in life, and trying to get the fucking ads away, but it's just not happening right now. Okay, so it's from historydefined.net. It's an article by Carl Seaver. No, I want his name. Carl Seaver. Let's check out who Carl Seaver is, man. Oh, you don't want to work? Then we do it like this. Because I haven't read the whole article, but I read parts of it. Carl Seaver, historian. He's a historian, clearly. And apparently he made a name for himself. He made a name for himself, man. Because when I pressed in the word Carl Seaver, the name Carl Seaver, the first thing that popped up was historian. Is this the guy? Oh, it's not hard. It's not easy to be found, Carl Seaver. Let's put it that way. Ah, the hell with it, man. It don't matter. So yeah, man. Let's read, man. Let's read. So what was it like to be enslaved in ancient Egypt? And I'm not gonna read the whole article, but you can check out for yourself. And then basically we're gonna cut this article up a little bit. What was it like to be a slave in ancient Egypt? This is a question that historians have asked for many years, but we may never honestly know the answer. Yeah, right. However, we know what life was like for slaves based on what we can learn from ancient texts and archaeological evidence. Now, if you're new to this, the people that were slaves in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, all right, those were the Hebrew Israelites, according to the Bible, all right, the Holy Scriptures called Bible, all right, and those Hebrew Israelites today consist of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as you know them in this world. So-called Negroes, so-called Native Americans, and so-called Latinos, and all who derive through them via their father's lineage, because the father determines the seed. Now let's read on. However, we know what life was like for slaves based on what we can learn from ancient texts and archaeological evidence. Excuse my French. Enslaved people in ancient Egypt were used for various tasks, including construction, farming, and household work. This is true. So what was their daily life like in ancient Egypt? What did enslaved people do all day? In this, what kind of question is that? What did enslaved people do all day? Well, they did hard, vigorous work, you piece of dung. In this blog post, we will explore the life of an enslaved person in ancient Egypt and try to answer these questions. He's trying to answer the questions now. So he's not. He don't got questions. He don't got answers to your questions. He's gonna try to answer the questions. Bunch of fucking garbage. And by the way it's written, smooth words and all that stuff, words that you fall over and shit. That is the way you can recognize the adversary. The devil, the diablo, which is Esau. Slave life in Egypt wasn't as hard as we think. Research supports the idea that slave life in ancient Egypt wasn't near as bad as we assumed. An excellent example of this concerns the building of the pyramids. Oh, really? It was a long-held belief in science that oppressed slaves built these pyramids and were subjected to horrible working conditions. However, a recent study found that most workers who built the pyramids were paid laborers, not slaves. Oh, so first we got a whole piece of text talking about slaves, and all of a sudden now we're not slaves. Now we was not slaves. Furthermore, according to Dr. Andrzej Siwek, probably an Amalekite, a small head, the small head people, an Egyptologist from the Archaeological Museum in Poznan, which is in Poland, Pyramids and other monumental royal structures were built by skilled and highly qualified workers. Well, that, my man, is true. Because Israel is the sand of the sea, man. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. We are the Heavenly Father's, eye apple, man. We are as Him, all right? Not in this day and age, but we supposed to be as Him, and we will be as Him, Maybe not as Him, fraction of Him, I must say, man. Kalala Yahweh Shai. Yeah. So, yeah, man, they come with a bunch of shit, got a few depictions of, hieroglyphs. In other words, Egyptian life wasn't dependent on their contribution and would move on without them if the foundations of society required it. Oh, that's another more smooth word. So if the foundations of society required it, then Egyptian life wasn't dependent on the contributions of the Hebrew Israelites, which were the slaves. Oh, really? Well, I can definitely say that if the slaves of this day and age don't do their job anymore and they are getting rid of, then this society, my man, it will collapse. This new Egypt, right? So yeah, man, they go on. You can read it for yourself, and I advise you do, because I will later on. But I really want to kill the article straight from the get-go, man. Yeah, man. So I'm basically going to read through the book of Exodus, chapter 1, and this is about the children of Israel that came into Egypt. It's right there in the first verse. All right? I'm checking. I was checking in my Bible. That's why I was a little bit disturbed. So yeah, let's read on from Exodus chapter 1, verse I think 7. 7, right? It's after Joseph died. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And king over there is Pharaoh. I think it's Ramses II. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was Ramses II or Seti II. I don't really know. I have to look it up. Maybe I'll come back to it in another video. But anyway, and he's verse 9. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. Okay, let's check out that word, infliction. Yeah, what the taskmaster did. He was afflicting us. To be occupied, to be bussied with, to afflict, to oppress, to humble, to be afflicted, to be bowed down, to be put down, to become low, so like to become low, to be depressed, be downcast, to be afflicted, to stoop. All right. So what is this hell? What the hell is this guy talking about? Carl Seaver talking about. Let me read it again, man. He says, research supports the idea that slave life in ancient Egypt wasn't near as bad as we assumed. Well, probably you assumed wrong, man. You assumed too soon, as the nigga corrupt from the dog pound would say. You assumed too soon. All right? So let's read on, man. And he said, verse 12, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. So Israel's giving them a lot of problems, man. We were showing them that we are the real super saiyans. The more you afflict us, the more they multiplied and the more we grew. All right? And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. Serve with rigor. rigor always reminds me of that word rigor mortis. So that's death right there. Rigor from the Hebrew word correct means harshness, severity, cruelty. All right. So again, my man, I would say you cave beast, Carl Seaver, you're wrong, Carl Seaver. All right, because the Bible contradicts what you are saying about. Right. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt, which is Pharaoh, spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, so they are about to give birth, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared the Heavenly Father, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the man-children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwife and said unto them, why have you done this thing, and have saved the man-children alive? And the midwife said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. So, like quick, our women were making children like quick. So, basically the midwives of Pharaoh, they had their hands full. Then they were on this side of the village or the city, and busy planning like, we're going to give, this one is planned to give birth, and this one is planned to give birth, and this one is about to pop, and this one is about to pop, and then another messenger come, oh shit, Hannah from back there, street, this and that, she's also giving birth. So they were occupied, crazy occupied, all right? Verse 20, therefore the Heavenly Father dealt with the midwives, and the people multiplied, and waxed very mighty. All right? And it came to pass, because the midwives feared the Heavenly Father, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. All right? And then Exodus goes into the story of Moses, which we are not going into. But again, man, historydefined.net. I follow these people on Twitter, because I think it's good to have historical influence this day and age on your so-called timeline. I don't just want to see hot females. I gotta have news. I gotta have articles about things that's about to pop off, like World War III or Ukraine, and history facts. Also, things like how do you call them? Gemstones. Different types of jewels. And sports is also there. Music. So yeah, man, Mr. Carl Seaver, Exodus from the Holy Bible, chapter 1, contradicts everything you say in your first parts of your text, and I'm gonna read on, but I think it's pretty clear that it was not a day at the park, those 400 years that we was in Israel, in Egypt, and the word Egypt means house of bondage, just so you know. So with that, I'm going to say shalom and on to the next. I'm going to give all praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahushai, Bashim, L'Chakwadash. Shalom.